grip make you hit the ball straighter? Or are these fundamentals, the basics that create a better player? Your spirituality is the same, and getting back to basics with Dr. Joe on Mondays at 10 a.m. will help you be a better you. Put it on your calendar. Make sure you are there. Dr. Joe, in this unique format, wants you to be in his virtual classroom and participate. When you join the class, in the comments will be a link. Simply click it and be brought into the green room and then into the live class. It all begins Monday at 10 a.m.
Good morning, everyone. Is everybody there? Are we good to go, Jeff?
Yes, sir. We're good to go.
Good morning. It is, what is today? The 28th, I think, of December, something like that. Anyway, we're between the holidays and we're getting ready to come up on a new year. And boy, I remember the anticipation of last year and thinking, oh my gosh, 2020 is going to bring all these things. And I don't know why it was creating a special image in my mind. I think it was just because of the date, and it just felt like some big thing was going to happen. And of course, something really big did happen. And unfortunately, it wasn't what I anticipated, nor I think what anyone anticipated. So this chapter is extremely timely that we're teaching this today. Again, I always talk about how our teachings are timeless and how you can pick up any of our textbooks and really you can see a similarity. Even though they were written years ago, there's a common thread that takes place even today. So this chapter that we're on in the Science of Successful Living from Raymond Charles Barker, printed in the 1950s, this chapter is called The Necessity of Flexibility. And I tell you what, the one thing that we've all had to learn a great deal about in 2020 is how to be flexible and what happens when you become inflexible. So this chapter is so timely. It's perfect for this week. So let's get started. Necessity of flexibility. I'm in chapter 9 of our textbook. So next slide, please, Jeff. So the New World Order which we live requires great flexibility. He calls this the New World Order, this new awakened thought. Now, I know sometimes the New World Order has taken on different negative connotations, but in this particular instance, this is talking about how this new awakened idea that is taking place within many, many millions of people, especially throughout this process, how that requires us to be very flexible in how we look at our futures. All right. The first quote is join the saints. All right. So here we go. I'm going to read this whole paragraph because it's really cool. You are the universal person. To you is given more than has ever been given to anyone on the face of this globe. In no other time have been so many facts, so much ease, and so many possibilities been available to everyone. There is greater knowledge of the ways in which the divine manifests and of your place in this creative process. This all necessitates responsibility on your part. It demands that you arise from the petty states of personal viewpoints. Ooh, God, unpacking this is going to be hard. And join the saints, saviors, and scientists who see the grand outworking of a larger mind in its unconditioned cosmos. Wow. That's the launching point today, folks. So you are the universal person, and to us has been given so many things. And the question is, are we using and are we capable of allowing ourselves to experience things with ease, or are we struggling? Now, in my mind, many times when I'm actually looking at my life becoming more and more difficult because of the things that have happened around us, it's required that I remain flexible. So first off, to us, many things have been given, and we've also been given greater knowledge so that we can do a workaround. There are many ways to work around things, and I think that's been so evident. That's been so evident in the time that we've had together over the past, in the past 12 months, or especially the last, 10 months, that it required us to do a workaround. It required us to work around how we at one point, how we got the mail and how we went grocery shopping and how we used e-commerce and how we had things delivered to our homes. Also, how it required us to lean on other people to do things for us, allow ourselves to be vulnerable enough to do that. So it's interesting that he says this about, to us, much has been given with greater ease. Now, I think some of that ease became a little more difficult, but once we learned how to do something, things became easier. I'll just say that. It may not be perfect, but it became easier as the year went on. All right, next part. Join, I love this. It demands that you arise from the petty states of personal viewpoints. Woo, it's been quite an election year. And I feel like it's not over yet because there's still this thing going on. I think next week, there's still another election going on next week, which is going to determine many things. And I tell you what, the fact that personal viewpoints, I don't know about you, but over the holiday, I was with members of my family and we were discussing things. And there were so many topics that were off limits. I mean, they were hard stops. They were, we're not walking into this discussion. We're not talking about this or that or this or that. And it became really difficult because there's so many personal viewpoints. But it says here, in order to rise above that and increase your level of flexibility, we have to rise above the personal viewpoints and join with, I love this, join with and I like the way he says petty views. States of personal viewpoints, and join the saints, saviors, and scientists who see the grand outworking, okay, the bigger picture, the people who are unconditional in their love, all right, the saints, the saviors, the people who share wisdom and knowledge that you're able to glean onto, hang on to, that will change your life, and the scientists, okay, it's marrying science and spirituality. It's marrying those two together, and when we do that, when we put those three things together, and we can see the value in that, then we truly have a game plan, a lesson plan for the future. All right, next slide, please. And Jeff, I needed to go, there we go. It's not about living longer, it's about the quality of life, all right? He talks about this, it's not about the calendar days that you have on this earthly plane. He talks about how it's important that we view the days that we have and make the most of those. Now, I know in 2020, that was sometimes very challenging because things could have become sort of boring and mundane, and the four walls that you were living in could feel like they were starting to crawl in and creep in on you. But it's not just about that. It's about, how do I make the very best of this day? Now, I know that some people are embarked upon creative journeys. They took on new things. They took on learning how to play the piano that they've always wanted to do. They've learned how to do the computer so that they could YouTube certain things and become more and more enlightened. They learned how to search things on their TV and their cable. They learned how to actually make things happen, who before were just sort of going on in their life, but now they were trying to make a quality day, a quality experience in this day. So I think that's one of the key elements, is to make this day an important day of quality. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go and do some monumental thing. It doesn't mean you have to, change everything about your life or your house or your look or your body or your diet. It doesn't mean that they have to be radical things. What it's saying is, make the most of this day. Don't waste this day, because it's not about how many days you have on the calendar. It's about how you treat this day. So next year, as we roll into a new year, it's not about how many days are on the calendar. It's not about the 365 days. It is going to be about how those days are spent in your life. All right, next slide, please. All right, I'm going to read it here because the eyes aren't focusing that far. You will need more flexibility in the next 50 years than ever before. To remain rigid in the coming expansion will mean disintegration, stagnation, infection, and a living death. Wow. Now, wait a minute. This is written in 1950 something, right? So that would have taken us up to 2000. Who knew that 70 years later, right, we'd be looking at this and say, this flexibility is going to be required in order for you to remain in an expanded consciousness. Someone who doesn't have that kind of flexibility, someone who doesn't have that, actually begins to disintegrate. They begin to, their skill set, their mind, it begins to disintegrate, or it becomes very still and stagnant. It's not growing. And then the person who's not going to be flexible, the person who's not going to be flexible, and sometimes they can experience infection and even a living death, meaning they're just already on their way to forest lawn, but they prepaid themselves, and all they're doing is marking time getting there. So the next few decades are going to require, the next year, the next few decades is going to require that we live in a more expansive consciousness. Instead, if not, we will find ourselves contracting or standing still, and then the rest of the world's going to keep going. The rest of the world didn't stop. Even though it appears that some things have happened here, the rest of the world did not stop for us. The rest of the world continues to work. You see what's happening in businesses, and the mergers are still happening in companies. Expansions are still happening. Some businesses are contracting. Some people are figuring out new ways to do business. If you don't have that kind of energy and that flexibility, you're going to be left behind in the dust. And that is not a fun place to be. When one leaves themselves behind in the dust, what they find is that their life becomes it becomes dusty. Let's just say that. It becomes not, and there's no excitement, there's no enthusiasm about what can happen in life. They just become, it's a dread. It's like, another day, another dollar, another day sitting in my house. No, it could be a day of creativity. You need to be flexible more than any time in our world, especially right now. There is this 2021, I know, is going to require us to be really flexible. I mean, I look back at 2020 and I think, oh my gosh, are we open? Are we closed? Can we do this? Can we do that? And, the numbers here, the numbers there, everything was constantly changing. And because of that, it just required that your mind could not attach itself to any one thing, because what you attached on Monday changed on Tuesday. And think about that. If you're kind of a rigid person, that did not bode well. And I know, because I realized how rigid I am in my thinking in some things. And I realized that, man, there were times when I kept thinking, okay, this is what it looks like, and this and that. So all day long, I would plan on, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to look like. And then the next day, something would change. And in that very instant of something changing, all the thoughts that I had the day before, all had to be rewritten and redone and revamped. And then I'm thinking, okay, so you know what? Maybe it's not a wise thing for me to project too far in, to have a vision of what I want overall in my life as an aggregate, but not give a date to it. Not giving you specific timelines to it. Just let it unfold. Just let it unfold. Next one, please. I think we're going to go into the book here. The Effect of Memory and Race Consciousness. There's something about race consciousness. I want to talk about this. Here we go. The race mind, meaning the universal mind that everyone thinks from, all right, and comes from. The universal mind believes that the world is a place where we must struggle from birth to death with the problem of evil. Think about that. Many people are brought up to believe, all right, and because they're brought up to believe this, they teach their children that. They marry people who have the same belief. They're in families that have the same belief. They live in communities that have the same belief. They go to churches or wherever they attend services who have the same belief. And there is a consciousness that we have to struggle to get anywhere. That no pain, no gain, and we talk about that, and I hear myself say, no pain, no, well, who says I have to experience pain to get the gain? Now, many times in my life, I have this pre-programmed idea that I have to be uncomfortable in order to move to a place of comfort. I have to experience those things, and I do, because my consciousness thinks, right, that, in order to get somewhere, it requires brutal, hard work. He goes on to say this. Where we must struggle from birth to death with problem of evil. It believes that sickness is natural, death is certain, and pain is to be expected. It believes that the only material security there can be is money and more money. It believes that people have to struggle for a living. It believes that few people can be trusted and that love is primarily a sex function. The race belief expects trouble all through life and hopes for eventual peace of mind in a future heaven, granted by a distant deity. Oh my God, this is great stuff. This is great stuff. I know people in my life, and I've had people in my life that they're like, well, I'll just take this because I know that someday I'll be in heaven and everything will be perfect. I'm like, girlfriend, you are living in hell right now. Why? You can change your hell right now. Why wait to die to get to that place where you can establish some peace of mind? There is sometimes, and I know you know people like this, and at times I am this person, okay? I will admit, at times I am this person, and I know you are this person, all right? Everybody has thoughts like this. I don't know anybody that doesn't have some sort of thoughts, even though they try to bury them and go, oh, delete, delete, delete. There is some sort of a thought process, okay? And I love this. Hang on. It says, oh, where did it go? I missed it. Yeah, here we go. All right. The race belief expects trouble all through life and hopes for that eventual peace of mind. So there are times we've been trained sometimes to think that throughout a period of struggle will bring us to a place of peace. Whereas, and we've almost said to our minds, we've almost established a pattern that says, I can't be at this place because of life experiences. We've set up a paradigm, a belief system that I have to struggle in order to get to the place of peace. It's not supposed to be that way. Sickness is supposed to be unnatural, okay? Those things are unnatural. Those are not normal things. Those are reactions to stress and other things on the body. We live in a universe that doesn't want us to experience the struggle, and yet there is a paradigm, there is a belief system, a race consciousness, if you will, a thoughtmosphere, right? A thoughtmosphere around the world that struggle is inevitable. What do they say? Two things are certain: death and taxes, right? And that struggle is inevitable, and that no matter how you do anything, there's going to be some struggle involved with it. So the effect of that is that we've got a lot of people who believe that, you know, that pain is normal, that that discord is normal, and we've gotten to a point now where in our own country there's this massive discord that we feel, and it's an energy and it's a vibration, and it keeps us from moving forward into something better because we're constantly focused on that vibration. All right, next slide, please. All right, it's only when we are uncomfortable that we are growing. So it talks about that. It talks about, because we have this belief system, when we're uncomfortable, that's when we start to grow. That's when we begin to say, I don't like this feeling of being uncomfortable. It's an urge. And the next slide is about the divine discontent. But this one is about, there's this urge that happens when we feel constrained, when we feel like we've been held back in any way, shape, or form. There is this natural urge to want to start to grow. So let's move into the next slide, Jeff, because that's where we're going to hit divine discontent. All right. There is a divine discontent. It is the most normal condition that can happen to you. If you do not have it, it indicates that you are bound in the lethargy of false contentment based on an untrue idea of security. Oh, wow, this is amazing stuff. Wait, listen. There's a divine discontent. If you don't feel discontent at times, it indicates that you are just kind of in a lazy consciousness, thinking that your idea of security has already been met. Without this inner gnawing toward greatness, you are as chaff to that which is of no value. With it, you have all that is needed to become the person for the larger cosmic order. Only, get this, only the forward-looking person with the discontent of things as they are is capable of creating a new heaven and a new earth. Never be satisfied with the present, for this impedes the birth pangs of that which will be. It prevents the new from having conception in your thinking. Oh man, I love this stuff. There is a divine discontent. It is normal. And if it's not happening to you, you need to wake up, because somewhere along the world, somewhere along the line, you have decided that this is all there is, and you're not going to even try for anything more. Okay. There are no finalities. There's nothing that's final. All right. Next slide, please, Jeff, because that's what we're going into. There are no finalities. Everything is changeable. Everything is flexible. In a time of despair, you may think that you may never again be happy, healthy, or at peace, but that is merely the negative of depression holding sway in your subconscious, in your thoughtmosphere. It is a temporary signing away of your spiritual authority to the devil, which means the race negatives. Okay? When the depression has passed, you again see clearly. All right? There are no finalities. Everything is changeable and everything is flexible. I remember one of the lessons that I teach and that I've always heard that Dr. Tom shared with me. He's like, no matter the struggle, Joe, no matter how much you're struggling and no matter how much you're dealing with people who are struggling, he said, the sun's going to come up the next day. The sun will come up. And what people think will have been some sort of a tragedy, the sun's still going to come up the next day and they'll have to deal with living the next day. Your job, Joe, as the new minister, is to know that when the sun comes up, possibilities exist in that new day to either change what needs to be changed or move a person into where they need to move to accept that change and create the change in their life. The sun will come up, Joe. He used to say, because we lived in Palm Desert, he's like, the sun's going to rise over India. It does every single day. And if you live in the desert, the sun rises every day from the east and it comes up right over, when I was looking that way in India, comes right up over India and makes its way across the planet, right? All right. Constant discontent leading to always better things. Yes. Hi, Tom Kelly. There is that constant discontent does move us into better things. I was thinking something really silly as soon as I saw that. I've been experimenting with my cooking. And if anybody that knows this, you've heard that I've been trying to cook. And, it's funny because the more you do something like that, the more you realize you have a lot of work to do. And that divine discontent that, oh my gosh, that didn't turn out this well, it actually prompts me into doing something even more. Even something on that small level, all right? So think about this in your relationships and your health and other areas of your life. That discontent, right? That discontent keeps us moving. And remember, there are no finalities. Every single thing is subject to change. And change it will. And this year and next year, who knows, where we're going to start out. Oh, and this is what I can't wait to see. And in my mind, this has been the prevailing thought, all right? I know that 2021, that when we break, there's not going to be this big thing that happens on December 31st to January 1st. There's not going to be this big change that occurs overnight. But I do know that next year is going to be filled with so much change. We thought this year was filled with change. This year was like a year of hitting like a roadblock, right? It was like a giant detour on the fast track to what we thought was going to be our happiness unfolding. So many people got locked up against that wall. And now next year, I always say to myself, recently, I've been saying to myself, I can't wait to see how the universe works this out, right? I can't wait to see how the universe is going to make 2021 very different, because I know it will. I think where we're going to start out January 1st, 2021 is not going to resemble what it looks like December 31st, 2021. There's going to be a lot of things changing. At least I hope so. And I feel intuitively that it is moving in that direction. All right. Next slide, please, Jeff. Never mortgage your future with final statements. I never will be happy again is one of the quotes that I have there. Don't mortgage your future with statements of finality, like saying, I'm never, ever going to find a relationship again, or I'm never, ever going to be happy again, or find a job, or have financial security, or I'm never going to have this, or never. When we start saying I am never, ever going to do this, plan on never, ever getting it, because you just signed documents with the universal intelligence that says, I believe this is the way my life is going to be. I'm going to be in a constant state of struggle. When we use those statements over and over and over again, we are mortgaging our future with those statements. And now you may think that just because of I'm saying it, but I really don't mean it. No. You're saying it. So it's in your subconscious mind. It's spinning around like a program that spins in the background on your computer. It's moving, and it's moving on that thoughtmosphere level. And so when it moves on that thoughtmosphere, you better plan on whatever has been rotating and pulling yourself out of your mind into your consciousness is what you're going to experience. I don't want to mortgage my future next year. I'm not doing it. I'm not using any of those statements right now, like, oh, we'll never ever get to be together again, or we'll never ever have church again, and we'll never have a service when the place will be packed and we'll be singing. And no, not doing that. You know what? I'm seeing everything unfolding for a higher good. Hey, Mike Burke, my man. All right, next one, please. We're moving right along. All right. The greater people to experience a greater cosmic order will be loving people. Now, this really gives me a great deal of pause, a great deal of, I needed to contemplate this a lot when I was reading this, because the greater people to experience a greater cosmic order will be people who are loving. And I tell you what, all you have to do is turn on the TV and you're going to see discord. Discord like I've never seen in my entire life. And as I talk to people older than me, they feel the same way. They've never felt this sort of discord going on in our country and in our world. And I think the greater people, right, to experience a greater cosmic order, right, will be the people who are putting love first and not hate or divisiveness. It's just a matter of how we're going to love ourselves and other people into a better future. And sometimes we have to hold our tongue, don't we? Sometimes we have to just hold back and not respond, okay? For those of you who are on social media all the time, that is not an invitation for you to immediately respond from a place of anger in the moment. That's not what we're talking about. Talking about we need to take those moments and not respond from that place. We're not going to be in conflict and think that for 1 second that my fighting is going to bring about peace. My loving brings about peace. Are you following me? When we add to the discord, that's not going to bring about peace. That may make us feel good as we hit enter and we go, okay, good, got that done, told those people, but you're missing the bigger picture. Love is going to create the greater force in this world, not fighting to get there. Now, there are always going to be those people. What did we talk about at the very beginning of the chapter? There's always going to be those people where fear and struggle is a part of how they view life unfolding. And they're really good at creating more fear and more struggle. But the person who allows themselves to love others through all of this, and I'm talking to myself too, because I need this work too. One person who allows themselves to experience that, all right, or change that, then that becomes more evident. All right. Next one, please. Affirmation. It's going to be an affirmation on page 129. Here we go. Ready? Here we go. There's a good, nice affirmation. So just close your eyes for a second. Just listen to these words because they are really powerful. All right. I am ready to let love be in, around, and through me as a flexible power of good. I now release all hatred, unpleasantness, and jealousy. God in the midst of me is right action and loving action. There is no competitive belief. I am equal to all, and all are equal to me. I understand the Christ in every person, and the Christ in me is loved by every person. There are no more misunderstandings, for love rules and governs my subconscious mind. I live in a cosmic universe, and I cannot hate anyone or any nation or race. I love with the love of God. I am unified within myself, and I see all people as phases of myself. For this, I give thanks, and I am glad. So let me unpack that. Hey, David, I'll get to you in a second. I am ready to let love be in me and through me as a flexible power of good. That's a great affirmation. Just that one little sentence right there. I am ready to let love be in me and through me as a flexible power of good. I now release all hatred, unpleasantness, and jealousy. God in the midst of me is right and loving action. How would you treat people? How would you talk to people if that's what you believed? How would you deal with that? Think about it. I am equal to all and all are equal to me. I understand the Christ in every person and the Christ in me is loved by every person. There are no more misunderstandings, for love rules and governs my subconscious mind. I don't have to have this internal conflict. All right? I don't have to have this internal conflict. It's when I do, that's when things begin on the outside to have conflict. When I have this internal conflict in my head, it's no wonder that it appears outside my front door. All right? All right. So next one, please. Great comments. Fear creates fear. Turn it around. Yep, absolutely, Tom. Thank you. And David wrote something about it's time for the pendulum to swing. Yeah, that's it. The time for the pendulum to swing to love and peace. And then Donna Peterson says, think. Yes, it requires us to think. Let's see. I've chosen the opportunity to sit socially distant with people from the other side politically and to feel pure love. It's possible. I like that. It's possible as long as everybody agrees to the ground rules not to take things personally, right? It's actually really effective when you can talk on a level and converse on a level without having to have this fear that someone's going to jump down your throat, right? All right, next one, or that one, yes. Oh, I love this. Remember Gladys Kravitz? I love Gladys. Remember the thing Bewitched? I think it was in the 60s, I think, anyway. What someone else accomplishes is none of your business. Don't compare yourself to other people. What their accomplishment, don't be jealous, don't be angry, don't go, oh my God, why does something always happen to everybody else? Well, you know what? Maybe they're tuned in on a different level. Maybe they're actually experiencing different things because they're open to experiencing different things. The mere fact that there's this jealousy about what other people accomplish means that within you, there is this energy of jealousy, which will always keep you jealous. There is a belief about jealousy. It's a swinging program that's going on in your head about being jealous of other people and what they have and how come I'm a have-not. Well, you have to ask yourself, do I have a belief about have-nots? Am I one of them? Am I constantly evaluating myself and putting myself up with other people, comparing things and judging what has happened to them? Why isn't that happening to me? We're not meant to do that. It's none of our business how other people live their lives. Our business is to remain our business, right? And what people accomplish, good for them. And what they don't accomplish, good for them. It's all their own understanding. It's the God of their understanding unfolding in their life. It's the God of the moment unfolding in their life. All right, here we go. Next one. Metaphysicians expect the impossible and the unusual to happen. We don't get excited because it should be normal. Yeah, you know what? I remember teaching a lot of these things, and in classes, people would say to me, you're not going to believe what happened. It's a miracle. And I would say, well, I don't want to call it a miracle because miracle means it's an exception, not the rule. And so while something can be fantastic, I don't want to label it like a miracle because then it becomes an exception, all right? Metaphysicians expect the impossible and the unusual to happen. And I know that in my life, I have experienced many times when things have happened and I look at that and I think, okay, this had to be a God thing because there's no way all of these things could have lined up any differently. There's no way the universe I could have lined up a series of events that would unfold, that would create something in my life, that there is this divine intelligence that created this thing that unfolded in my life, right? So we don't get excited about it. We just think this is really normal. And the more normal I treat it, the more things begin to happen for me like that, right? I don't expect a miracle because then that sets up the ability for something to be distant or to be out of reach or to be, so far out in the future. No, I expect good. and good unfolds for me. Now, am I great at that all the time? No, no, I can't be. I've tried. But I'm also a human being, and my pendulum swings just like everybody else's. And there are times when I get frustrated. I try to stay out of that more now than ever before. And every day I try to stay out of it more than I get into it. And as long as I continue to have that kind of idea, as long as I have that premise that I want to continue to do that, then that allows it to unfold. All right. Next thing, please, Jeff. Changing your life requires that you make a decision, take a stand, and don't give in. You know, Raymond Charles Barker wrote The Power of Decision. Of course, we've taught that class here many times. And changing your life requires that you make a decision. It's really, and it requires that you stick to that decision. That is one of the things that I find to be most frustrating, because I'll make a decision and I'll think, okay, this is no big deal. I can do this. And then it requires me to actually get up the next morning and execute it yet again. And then I go, not too sure if this is the right decision or not. Have you ever experienced that before? Right? So changing your life requires that you make a decision, and don't give in. Just take a stand and make it work. All right? Next one, please, Jeff. Here we go. Your goal must be clear, and you must want what you want with ardor, vitality, and authority. So when you make up your mind that you want to experience something, you have to make sure that it's clear in your mind. Don't give it a date. The universe works on its own time. We've learned that the hard way in 2020, haven't we? So don't give it a date, but just know that there is this clarity around what I desire. There's this clarity around the vision of my life, all right? And then once I decide what that looks like, I'm going to go for it, and nothing's going to hold me back, okay? So the biggest goal that you have, your goal has to be clarity and peace of mind, and make sure that you work with spiritual authority to make that happen. Now, what does that mean? Ardor, vitality, and authority. What does that mean? It means that I do it with such gusto and such belief that nothing can stand in the way or deter me from knowing that even if a little speed bump occurs or a detour occurs, those are not denials. They're just detours. They're just, delays. They're not the ends of the world. Okay. That no finalities there. See, when you put all this stuff together from this class, you come to the place where you realize that you are the driver of this vehicle of your life, and you decide where it's going to go and how it's going to go. So, and when you do that, and you do it with such authority, the universe must comply. All right. The universe must comply with that, because you are giving yourself spiritual authority to have that, to experience it. You've said to the universe, God, I don't know how you're going to do this, but I don't need to know how. I just need to know that this is what I know is to be experienced in my life, and I am ready, open, receptive. I am just seeking it as it seeks me, and I'm focused on looking at the clues. See, I believe that life leaves clues for us. Not like signs, but clues. It's like, hey, look, this happened, and it moved me to the next step, and it moved me to the next step. And next thing you know, something else happens and happens. It continues to go like this. So when that happens and the next step leads to the next step, I have to just know that whatever that is, the biggest picture is always unfolding in these steps. Now, I may say and define something as I take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but that's just my perception. One of those things that I've noticed too is that there is a belief system that people expect to go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that should be normal. Okay. So as soon as I accept that premise as normal, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, then no wonder I keep manifesting 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because it's truly what we do to ourselves. All right. We set ourselves up to go back. All right. Last slide for the day. You're the professional wrestler of your thoughts. Tone up the body and the mind. I like the way he says that. You are a professional wrestler of your thoughts. The stronger you are, the stronger the mind, the stronger the body, the stronger the belief system, the stronger your relationships, the stronger your finances, the stronger your creativity. You are the one who wrestles with that, right? And the stronger you are in your mind, the more your life is going to unfold to your liking. Now, as long as you're wrestling with the right thoughts, all right, you have to make sure that you are going with an expanded idea of who you are, not a contracted, victimized version of who you think you are. There has to be that level of expansion and awareness. All right. So, good stuff, huh? This requirement of flexibility is necessary. I'm going to read the last chapter, or the last bit of this, the last two paragraphs of this, because to me it closes perfectly, right? It is spiritually and psychologically, no, it is spiritual and I'm stuttering over my words today. It is a spiritual and psychological challenge to remain flexible. Fortunately, these modern times offer you more variety of ideas, things, and situations than any generation has ever had in its command. All right, back up. It is a challenge to remain flexible, but this is 1950, right? 1950. Fortunately, these modern times offer you more variety of ideas, things, and situations than any generation. And don't you believe it? Think about what we have access to. Think about what we have access to in terms of wisdom and knowledge and facts and all of those things that we can at our fingertips. It's funny. I was thinking about this the other day. I remember when every household had Encyclopedia Britannica, right? Those however many volumes of the encyclopedia. And when it came time to write a term paper or do something, you would go to the encyclopedia. Now, interestingly enough, you would be getting a book that was probably 10, 20, 30 years old, maybe sometimes, depends on how old they were in the family. But that was the knowledge base. That's what you used. And then if you were really, really special, you'd go to the library and start looking up new stuff. But for a lot of us, we just went, I'll grab that and my term paper will come from this. So when one thinks about that, that was what we used. We used books that had been published. And what does it take to get a book published and get it published back then and get it into a library? How current was its idea base at the time? And its facts? Because it was already dated the second that you got it, because months and months had passed before it had been written and distributed. So when we think about that, when we think about what is available to us, this whole internet world that we live in, the fact that we can search something and find hundreds of videos that teach us just about anything we need to do. I mean, from changing my shower head to learning to cook, to learning to paint, to anything and everything is searchable, and you can find instruction on it. We've never been at a point in the generations of our existence that we've had this much information. You cannot blame anyone but yourself if you do not make steady progress in the unfolding of your consciousness. A daily checkup on your ways of thinking and feeling will show you where you are. Say yes to all that intrigues you, inspires you, and helps you to grow. Make a definite effort to get the ideas you want. Search them out and follow through on them. Find the people who think as you do and have fellowship with them. Old friends may have to take second place to new ones, but that's okay. It's all right. So let's unpack that. Don't blame anyone but yourself if you're not making progress in this world. I mean, so I'll confess, I've done this before. If I can't figure out how to program the computer in my car, it has this fandangled thing that it can do, has the capability of doing it. Everybody talks about what it can do. If I'm not willing to sit and learn and be open to the idea of learning, because I've already told myself, I'm just so lousy at that stuff, that technology. I struggle with it. I do that. It's a belief. It's a belief, just like any other belief. And of course, so when I have this new car that knows how to do things I don't know how to do or make it do, but it sure would be nice if I did it. The only reason I'm not enjoying it is because I'm not putting my effort forward to make it happen. I'm using the excuse of, I'm not that good. I'm not that savvy with this kind of stuff. Other people know how to do this and I don't know how to do it. Listen to my rationale for not trying. And then I wonder why that inflexibility isn't giving me the flexible results that I want, the desired results in my life. It's because I become inflexible. I become a person who believes those things to be true. All right. Next thing, make a definite effort to get on the ideas you want. Search them out, follow through, get people who believe the same way and have fellowship with them. That's why we have these classes online every day at 10 o'clock. This is a way for you to connect to our center. We also have classes where people can go in virtually and have conversations with other people. It's not just a one-way dialogue or something you type in. We have the availability to get into these conference rooms and have people there that share the same ideas. And sometimes it does require that there are negative people in our lives. And when we're around those people, we realize how they're holding us back, not moving us forward. And so when that happens, when we have that kind of awareness, then perhaps just maybe we need to think about, I need to spend some time around people who think the way I think. And then log into one of these groups, log into one of the things that we offer at the center right now. We'll be meeting person to person sometime in 2021, I'm sure. And when that happens, you'll be able to come to the center and meet people of like mind and say, let's go here, let's go do this, let's go. I always say, let's go to, have a piece of pie somewhere and talk about this stuff. There's a way to generate relationships with people of like mind. We have 7 days a week, opportunities for you to tune in, to listen to people of like mind. Again, we have opportunities for you to tune in and be part of a classroom where people are talking about things, and you can share your ideas and listen to other people and listen to facilitators share those ideas. All right. Last line, be liberal, progressive, and adventurous with the larger scene, and the larger scene will unfold with greater good than you've ever known before. So when he says be liberal, I keep thinking, oh my God, people are going to define this as a political thing. No, be liberal, meaning be open to it all. Just have an open mind. Be open-minded, be progressive, be adventurous, and the larger scene will unfold with greater good than you ever had known before. Think of God in the grandest terms possible. Think of your own spiritual nature in equally large terms. Fasten your attention on your possibilities and how to attain them. Know that the infinite welcomes the person who can move forward, investigate the new, and release that which has served its purpose. This is the flexibility of the spirit. It is your flexibility now. Man, good stuff, isn't it? So let's unpack this. Be open and adventurous, right? And the greater picture will unfold. Think of God in the grandest terms. Don't think of just one little thing. Think of life in the grandest terms. What the possibility, the potential of all things, not just the things that can happen today or tomorrow, but think of God in the grandest terms that's able to manifest life itself. Right? It manifested this life. It manifests the mountain that I stare at every day in Palm Springs. It manifests the ocean that people stare at. It manifested this incredible universe and all of its inhabitants and everything that's in it. Why do I think small when the God of my knowledge and awareness is so big? Why would I limit myself to being small? All right. Think of your own spiritual nature as equally large terms. Fasten your attention on this. Fasten your attention on your possibilities and how to attain them. Know, not guess, not beg, not bargain. Know that the infinite welcomes the person who can move forward, investigate the new, and release that which has served its purpose. That's a big one. Some people like to carry around that baggage forever and ever and ever. Not necessary, not required. In fact, it holds us down. The universe welcomes the person who's really ready to jump in and see something new and investigate something new. Think about it. Think about how exciting it is when you actually start to learn something. Okay, I'll go back to me again because I'm the only one talking. I think of how excited I got when I learned how to cook. I told myself I'm not a good cook. I don't know how to do this. And so when I opened up, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really exciting. I have to tell you, for Christmas, I got a new knife that I know that I'll cut with these new knives. I'm like, oh, I was thrilled to get this thing, right? That before I would have been like, oh, it's a knife, right? Whatever, right? No, thrilled to think of the possibilities that I can have with my brand new cutting knife. I'm so excited. Now, before the old Joe, no, I can't cook. I can't do that stuff. I chop something up. No. Let's just go to Denny's, right? No. Now the new Joe found some excitement and went for it. And as soon as that happened, the creative effort or the creative energy, the divine discontent said, no, keep doing, keep trying, keep doing this, keep doing that, expand it, make it happen. It was very exciting. All right. So I use myself as an example because you can do it too. This isn't just my gig, it's our gig. Whatever I'm learning, you can learn the same way. And whatever you're learning, when you share with me, I can learn from you. It's brilliant. All right, last one. This is the flexibility of the spirit. It is your flexibility now. You can choose to be flexible, or you can choose to be inflexible, and that inflexibility will cause you to just shrink up as the world begins to pass you by. And then you're going to look at your days. They will be long and hard upon the earth instead of enjoyable and prosperous and peaceful. Your choice. You get to choose. That's what I love about all this stuff. You get to choose. I get to choose. I know what I'm choosing today. All right, so that's our lesson for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, wait, don't go. If you haven't done so already, we're coming up on the end of the year. Our center could really, really use some financial support right now. You can transfer stocks and take advantage of that. You can call the office and they'll tell you how to do that. That way you don't have to pay capital gains this year. It goes, you just donate stuff to us. So if you can't donate money, think about donating something else that is of value to us that we can actually make and continue to create these wonderful broadcasts at 10 a.m., continue to have the wonderful staff that we have so that when we are ready to open in 2021, which we will be, they will all be there working hard and diligently to keep that spiritual experience happening and to continue to unfold in great, wonderful ways. We're so grateful for all that you have done to support us. Continue, please. Please continue. We're at the end of the year. Be nice to I call it break even or better this year in a difficult year for a lot of people. All right. God bless you. Thank you so much. Hey, Jill, my sister was on board today. I think my mom was listening. Hi, Mom. I think you're out there. You probably don't know how to type to it, but that's okay. I hear you. I know you're here. All right. Have a great, great week. Have a happy new year. And I think there's going to be a little video that's going to come out on a spiritual practice because we can't get together and do the burning bowl. I think we're going to come out with a spiritual practice. Just a little short one. If you didn't see the service on Sunday, there's a little short video I think we're going to send out that will allow you to do a releasing exercise in our 2020 format. All right. All right. Have a great day, folks. Thank you. Thanks, Tom. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Have a great day. Thanks again.